This is Alan Weinkrantz with Kinky Friedman. And Kinky, there's an election coming up on April 27th. It's an important runoff. Why is this election important?
Well, it'd be nice to have somebody in politics that young people might be able to look up to. I can't think of anybody in elected office today that truly inspires me. You know that those people are all out of office or they're dead.
And
So,
you have an opponent.
I'm supposed to have an opponent, yes, and I think he is a. There were stories circulating a lot that he's a Trojan horse, that he's really a Republican. Now his voting record has come forth, and he's running as a Democrat, but he's voted Republican every single time except 2008, which was the year Rush Limbaugh encouraged his followers to cross over and vote for Hillary, or to make the Democratic primary process longer and more expensive. It was called Operation Chaos. And as soon as he did vote Democratic that time, then he went right back to voting Republican again.
Okay.
The other problem I have with Jim Hogan is that he seems to be contemptuous of the voter. He has steadfastly refused to meet with voters, and he's running now for something that I think is the job of a public servant, the ag commissioner. And I think that's a strange way to go about business, to contend that you don't have time to campaign, that you're busy, you've got to work, whatever it is. There's always something. But he has refused to meet with the people, and I think that's an insult to the people, and they ought to know at least that.
Yeah, you've been pretty active. I mean, doing outreach to the communities, the media.
Yeah, I've spoken to all kind of groups. The farmers in Big Spring, Texas, a mixed group of Democrats and Republicans. It didn't really matter what tribe they belonged to. The fact is they haven't had a crop there in 6 years, and they would like to try growing hemp because it grows in any conditions. It would grow in semi-arid or arid conditions, and it's also it requires half the water that cotton does, and it requires 0 pesticides. Based on that alone, that's something that Texas ought to try.
Okay.
I mean, hemp seed oil, by the way, has been used since Abraham in the Bible in the Old Testament, all the way to Abraham Lincoln, for lighting their lamps.
So why is this election? People sometimes don't think about a runoff like this. They think, well, you know what, I'll just wait till November and I'll just get around to it then. But number one, why is it important that people do pay attention to this in April? And the other is who can actually vote?
Well, anybody can vote if they have not voted in the Republican primary. That's the disqualifier. So if you're a Republican or an independent or a Democrat, you can vote May 27th, and I hope you do, because I think it's important. I think I have maybe the best chance in the past 20 years for the Democrats to actually win, and that would be a real good thing, to have a voice in there besides the usual suspects with Perry, Dewhurst, Abbott, and so forth. I think even a good number of the Republicans are not real happy with what they've got.
Okay. So, this story is also going to run in a publication called The Times of Israel. And there's a lot of alliances, there's a lot of innovation, a lot of technology, especially in ag, especially in water, that's going on between Texas and Israel. And how do you think you could help further strengthen some of those relationships?
Well, as far as the water issue, the Israelis are the ones who first really made the desert bloom. And I'd like to know more about how they did that. Texas could learn from that. The one place in Texas that seems to have a handle on water is El Paso. But because El Paso is out of the loop, and Austin doesn't seem to care that much about places like Lubbock or El Paso or East Texas. That's the way politicians get after a while. The good old boy becomes the empty suit in the ag office, and now the agriculture office is pretty much being used by the Republicans as a stepping stone for higher office. Water is crucial. Now, I could say grow more hemp. It's illegal in Texas right now, so I'm kind of running to lift the prohibition on hemp and on pot, and there's lots of good reasons for doing both. Right now, the number one hemp producer in the world is China. Would you care to guess who her number one customer is?
I would guess.
What?
The United States?
No, it's Willie Nelson. But that was just a joke. It is the United States. Of course it is. Texas. Texas should be the number one producer of hemp. And I mean, there's over 30,000 uses for hemp. Just the idea that a farmer, I mean, if you came up to any farmer and said, what would you rather do? Here you have no pesticides needed whatsoever, no chemicals, and cotton is using 50% of the chemicals in American agriculture go to make cotton grow. Something's wrong with this picture, and I don't know if, but any farmer that had the choice and that realized that hemp also required half the water. Now, I mean, if agribusiness in Texas operated on half the water, there's a huge water conservation going on right there. And so it's not quite that simple. But there is no question that hemp would be the answer to a lot of our problems. I don't want to get off base on pot here. Pot is, I don't smoke pot. This is not about long-haired hippies smoking dope. This is about the future of Texas. And it's economic and environmental, and healthcare-wise, and all kinds of things. The only time I ever smoke pot is when I'm with Willie. And that's just kind of Texas etiquette. I just kind of, you have to do it. And the last time was in February in Hawaii. And I'll tell you, I got so high I needed a stepladder to scratch my ass. And so it's not recreational that I'm interested in. Although Willie's a poster boy for smoking a boatload of pot every day, and he never misses a note on stage, and he never forgets a lyric. So it works for some people. But for all the people, the revenues would be enormous. Look at Colorado, this tiny little pissant state, making $117 million every time they turn around. Multiply it by 700, and you might have an idea of what Texas could gain. So I'm a little surprised, just a little surprised that the other candidates have not been talking at all about lifting the prohibition on pot and hemp, because they're talking about education, it seems, and you know they never do anything about it. And I'm telling you how we fund it. This is how we do it. And then we've got the finest cancer hospital in the world, arguably, MD Anderson in Houston. Zero medicinal marijuana program, none at all. And now they're learning a lot of things about what pot can do to mitigate the situation of chemo, which kills as many people as the disease. And if you can't sleep and you can't eat and you're nauseous and dizzy all the time, that can kill you. Well, marijuana reduces all of that tremendously. And they're discovering that marijuana as well can do that to the symptoms of MS, Parkinson's. In Israel right now, something I'm very interested in, the thing that Sanjay Gupta did on CNN, that documentary, that Israeli doctors are giving pot regularly to children with autism and to Alzheimer's patients and to cancer patients in major hospitals in Tel Aviv. Now, what do they know that we don't know? Something is going on here. And of course, we're not able to research it because our government still lists marijuana as a dangerous drug, even though no one's ever died of it. So it's got all these things, and I haven't even mentioned the fact that we would effectively castrate the Mexican drug cartels. My friends on the border now tell me, they've got lots of connections in Mexico, that the reason the border is so screwed up is because security has totally deteriorated in Mexico. It's disappeared. You could be a rich guy with bodyguards. That's not going to save you from the cartels. So they think that legalizing pot will take away 60% of the revenue of the cartels. And I might add that the taxpayers of Texas would become the new cartel.
Okay.
And lastly, let me just say that we're making criminals out of people who aren't criminals. In 2010, we put 74,000 nonviolent pot possessors, not dealers. We put them away. We incarcerated them. And that cost the taxpayers $250 million. And during the time they were incarcerated, effectively ruining their lives, closing so many doors to their futures, we found that we could have put them all, 74,000, through Harvard, cheaper than it cost the taxpayers to pay for this. And we also found, by the way, that there were 7 times as many Hispanics and African Americans as whites in that group. So that's not criminal justice, that's criminal injustice.
Last of all, you're now Agriculture Commissioner, you're sitting in Austin, Texas. How would you actually govern?
Well, this is a personal matter. This is not being an administrator. You hire an administrator. If he doesn't work out, you fire the administrator. There's 1,000 of them waiting in the Capitol there for a job, you know. That's not what I'm particularly good at. What I think I could do is embrace the future, facilitate ideas that I think are important. Organic farming, kids growing gardens in the schools, organic gardens. That would be herbal farm. That would be urban farming. That would be family farms, local farms, contributing to that. But how you do that's the whole point of it. You could just be like LBJ, pass the legislation, get it through, or you could be like JFK and inspire millions of young people to join the Peace Corps as I did. Inspire people like Bill Clinton, who grew up in poverty, and he met JFK and his life changed.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. I would want to stand up for the rural folks. I believe they're getting shafted now. I know there's 247,000 small farmers and ranchers in Texas, the number dwindling every single day, and they're not getting represented well. And I would do that. And when I say embrace the future, I mean that sometimes you're going to get slapped in the face. May 27th, I might get slapped in the face for embracing the future. And by that, I mean anyone who's talking today about legalizing pot and hemp it's a little more dangerous than not doing it. That's why none of the other candidates are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I also, in 2006, endorsed gay marriage and became the first candidate for statewide office anywhere in America to endorse gay marriage at that time. Today, everybody's for it.
Sure.
So the future may slap you in the face or it may hug you back, you know, you never know. But when I look at the office holders now in Texas, I don't see very many of them that you could really say are embracing the future. And that's what I'd like to do. And there's something that the people have to do too, and that is the people of Texas got to decide, do they want to be seceders or do they want to be leaders?
Good. Well, thank you. Yeah, by the way, earlier in the video I mentioned April 27th, what I meant was May 27th.
Well, we're all
So,
human. We make mistakes.
Great. Well, thank you for your insights.
Thank you.
We hope to be able to support you. Follow your lead, some great insights. This is Alan Weinkrantz signing off with Kinky Friedman.